She looked like any other tired waitress, hair tied back, apron dusted with flour, hands carrying empty glasses. But when those bullies cornered her behind the bar, mocking her, touching her, daring her to fight back, they had no idea the woman they were provoking was an undefeated undercover MMA World Champion who could end the entire room in under 10 seconds. If you love your mom and dad, hit that subscribe button and show some love to them. Lena Brooks had spent the last 6 months serving drinks and wiping tables at Iron Horse Bar, a place where Harley engines roared outside and neon lights flickered like dying stars. To most people, she was just another quiet worker minding her business. Thin, graceful, the type who apologized even when someone bumped into her. Her co-workers liked her, customers hardly noticed her, and her boss trusted her with keys to the place. What nobody knew, not her boss, not her co-workers, not even the curious locals, was that Lena was hiding a secret that could shake the entire town. She was the reigning, undefeated MMA World Champion, a fighter so dangerous that even professional athletes refused to spar with her. But she didn't want fame, didn't want interviews, didn't want the world cheering her name. She wanted anonymity, peace, a normal life where she didn't have to hurt people So she slipped away from the spotlight and off the grid, taking a job in a small American town where nobody asked questions. But trouble always finds those who don't want it. The trouble arrived that Friday night when 3 notorious troublemakers, barely noticeable, and Mason, wiping down tables pushed as if through the door of the bar. They were known across town for stirring chaos wherever they went. They drank too much, fought too often, and had a habit of treating staff like disposable toys. Tonight, intoxicated arrogance oozed from them, like gasoline waiting for a spark. Darren, the ringleader, spotted Lena immediately. "Hey, sweetheart," he called out, leaning across the counter while she cleaned a row of glasses. "Give us 3 shots of whiskey and that smile you pretend not to have." Cole smirked and whistled. Look at her, all quiet and innocent. Bet she needs a real man to loosen her up. Mason slammed his fist on the bar. "Yeah, girl, don't make us wait." Lena didn't react. She never reacted. Her voice stayed soft. "Coming right up." She poured their shots and slid them across the bar with a polite nod. Darren watched her hands carefully. "You got soft hands," he said. "What's a girl like you doing in a place like this?" She simply walked away, hoping to diffuse their interest. But bullies never get bored when they sense vulnerability. As the night went on, the bar grew louder, old country songs echoing from the jukebox, billiard balls striking each other, motorcycles rumbling outside. Lena moved between tables like a shadow, clearing bottles, delivering drinks, but she could feel their eyes trailing her like predators measuring prey. She remained calm. Years of training taught her to control adrenaline, breathe steadily, and never strike unless absolutely necessary. Violence was something she kept locked deep inside, and she intended to leave it there. But Darren didn't intend to leave her alone. Around midnight, when the crowd thinned, the 3 men cornered Lena near the back storage room. It was dim, narrow, boxed in by shelves of beer crates. Darren blocked the exit with a smirk. "Hey, sweetheart," he sneered. "You walked past us all night without even giving us a real look. That hurts, you know? We're good guys, just want a little attention." Lena's voice was steady. "I need to restock the bar. Please move." Cole laughed. "Hear that? She thinks she can tell us what to do?" Mason leaned close, alcohol thick on his breath. "Maybe she needs to learn some manners." Darren grabbed her wrist, not violently, but with a firmness that made his intentions clear. "Just smile for us, that's all." Lena looked at his hand, then his face, calculating the angle, the grip, the leverage. She could dislocate his wrist in under a second, but she tried one last time to walk away. Let go. He smirked. Or what? You'll run crying to your boss? Honey, you don't have the nerve to even look me in the eye. Those words were the spark, not because they insulted her, but because they reminded her of every fight she ever took on, every opponent who underestimated her, every man who said she didn't belong in the ring, every coach who said she'd never be tough enough. Lena lifted her gaze slowly, her eyes locking onto Darren with a calm so deadly, he instinctively stepped back. What are you looking at? He stuttered. But it was too late. Lena moved, not with anger, not with adrenaline, but with precision carved by years of discipline. Her left hand snapped up, twisting Darren's wrist until he dropped to his knees with a howl. At the same time, her right leg stepped into Cole's space, knee striking his ribs so hard he collapsed to the floor, clutching his side. Mason rushed forward, swinging wildly. Lena ducked smoothly, swept his legs, and brought him crashing down on top of beer crates. The entire exchange lasted less than 4 seconds. 4 seconds to dismantle 3 men who believed they owned the world. Darren groaned on the ground. What are you? Lena stepped back, breathing steadily, posture calm. Someone who doesn't want to fight, she said softly, but someone who will if you force her. The noise drew the attention of her boss, Jake, who rushed into the hallway. What the hell? He froze when he saw the 3 men groaning in pain. Lena, did you do this? She looked down. She didn't answer. Jake had known Lena for months. He had never seen her raise her voice, let alone her hands. But the scene before him didn't make any sense. Darren pointed at her. She attacked us! Arrest her! Jake shook his head. You 3 have caused problems in this bar for years. I'm not buying that for a second. But Darren wasn't letting it go. He crawled to his feet, rage burning through the humiliation. You think this is over? You think I'm letting this barmaid break my arm and walk away? Cole nodded, wincing. We'll sue. We'll get you fired. We'll ruin you. Mason groaned. She blindsided us. Sneak attacked. Jake raised an eyebrow. You're seriously saying she beat the 3 of you at once? Darren spat on the floor. She's crazy, violent, and when the cops show up, she's going to jail. Lena stayed quiet, but inside, something twisted. She had built this quiet life to avoid drama, avoid violence, avoid being seen. Now everything was collapsing because 3 drunk bullies couldn't handle being put in their place. Jake stepped between them. Nobody's calling the cops. If anyone should be reported, it's you 3. Darren laughed bitterly. Oh, trust me, the police will show up, but not for us. He stormed out, clutching his wrist. Cole and Mason followed, limping, cursing, threatening revenge. Jake turned back to Lena. What happened? She lowered her eyes. They cornered me. He sighed deeply. Lena, you've been quiet since the day you walked in. You're kind, respectful. But what I saw today, that wasn't just self-defense. He paused. It looked like training. Lena said nothing. Jake stepped closer, lowering his voice. Who are you, Lena? Her heart pounded. It was time. She could either lie again or tell the truth for once. I used to fight, she whispered. In a gym, in the world, she corrected. Jake blinked. What do you mean? Lena exhaled. I was the MMA World Champion 3 years in a row. Jake's jaw dropped. You're that Lena Brooks, the ghost? The one who knocked out a heavyweight with one elbow? She nodded slowly. I didn't want people to know. I left that life. I wanted peace. Jake stared at her, stunned. Peace isn't exactly what's coming now. He was right. Because as they walked back into the bar, Lena froze. Darren, Cole, and Mason were standing outside with 2 police officers, and Darren was shouting loud enough for the whole town to hear. "There she is! That's the violent psycho who attacked us! Arrest her!" Lena's jaw tightened. Officer Daniels approached. "Ma'am, we received a report of assault inside this establishment." Jake stepped forward. "Officers, they cornered her. They harassed her. She defended herself." Darren yelled, "She jumped us! Look at my wrist! Look at Cole's rib!" Officer Harris looked at Lena. "Ma'am, we need your statement." Darren smirked. "Oh, she'll get her chance in court." Cole added, "Enjoy losing your job, sweetheart." Mason spat. "And your freedom." Lena closed her eyes for a moment, steadying her breath. She didn't want this life. She didn't want trouble. She didn't want attention, but she was done running. When she opened her eyes, the officers felt it, something unspoken but powerful. "Officers," she said calmly, "I didn't attack them. I defended myself from 3 men who blocked me in the storage room." Darren scoffed. "Lies." Officer Harris raised a hand. "We'll let the camera footage speak. Bar cameras record everything." Darren's face turned white. He forgot about the cameras. Within minutes, the footage played on Jake's office computer. The officers watched Lena being cornered, grabbed, threatened. Then they watched her dismantle all 3 men with non-lethal precision. No rage, no brutality. Just controlled, life-saving technique. Daniels leaned back. "Ma'am, that's not how a normal person fights." Lena quietly replied, "I'm not a normal person." Harris looked at her. "You're trained. Military? No. Police? No. Then what?" Lena sighed. "MMA World Champion." The officers stared. Darren exploded. "She's lying." But Daniels shook his head. "No, she's not. I've watched her fights online. This is her." Cole swallowed. "You mean we just attacked the ghost?" Harris crossed his arms. "Gentlemen, you're lucky to be alive." The officers turned to the bullies, not Lena. "Darren Briggs, Cole Mason, and Mason Turner," Daniels said. "You are under arrest for harassment, attempted assault, and filing a false police report." "What?" Darren screamed. "You're arresting us?" Harris replied coldly, "Yes, and considering who you attacked, I'd say you got off easy." As they were handcuffed, Darren glared at Lena. "This isn't Lena stepped forward, her voice soft but deadly precise. "Yes, it is." The police cars drove away. The bar was silent, filled with stunned customers who had come to watch the drama unfold. When Lena walked back behind the counter, people clapped, slow at first, then louder. Jake placed a hand on her shoulder. "You know, if you ever want to teach self-defense classes, you'd have a waiting list." She smiled faintly. "Maybe someday." Because as she stood there in the warm glow of the bar lights, Lena realized something she never expected. She didn't have to hide who she was anymore. Her strength didn't make her dangerous. It made her safe. And sometimes the quietest person in the room is the one everyone should fear the most. Now, tell me, from which part of the country are you watching this story? But the real storm didn't start inside the bar. It began the moment Emily stepped out into the cold alley behind it. The rain had stopped, but the ground still glistened under the flickering streetlights. She had walked out to breathe, to let her heart settle, because despite her calm exterior, her mind was racing. Years of being hunted by cameras, fans, and paparazzi had taught her to disappear, but she knew bullies never stopped at words. They always pushed further. She had barely taken 5 steps when she heard the metal door slam open behind her. "Hey, waitress!" It was Kevin's voice, louder now, thick with anger and humiliation. She didn't turn around. "Go home, Kevin." But Kevin wasn't alone. The rest of the group followed him out. Jake, Travis, and Mark. 4 men, drunk, angry, and convinced the world owed them something. "You embarrassed us in there?" Jake hissed, rolling up his sleeves as if he were about to win a prize fight. "You think you're tough because you serve drinks?" Emily finally glanced back, her face still expressionless, still calm. "Last chance. Walk away." But bullies never understood warnings. They only understood pain, and even then, only if it was their own. Kevin took a step closer, pointing a finger at her. "You're just a..." He didn't finish that sentence. A cold gust of wind sliced between the buildings. Emily's eyes narrowed slightly, the way a predator studies the environment. Angles, distances, exits, opportunities. Her voice dropped to a whisper only she could hear. "Not today. But if they force me..." Jake lunged first. A sloppy, telegraphed punch. Slow enough that she could have written an essay before it landed. Emily shifted her shoulder half an inch, and Jake's fist cut through the empty air. As he stumbled forward, off balance, she lightly tapped his elbow, guiding him toward the wall. He crashed face first against the bricks. Kevin froze. Travis blinked. Mark took a step back. Emily said nothing. Because real fighters don't brag. Real fighters don't threaten. Real fighters finish. Travis grabbed a broken beer bottle from the ground. "Think she's fast now?" He rushed in wildly. Emily moved before thought, before breath. Her hand clamped around his wrist, the exact pressure point that triggers instant numbness. The bottle dropped from his fingers. A swift knee to his ribs sent him collapsing to the ground, gasping for air. 2 down. Mark pulled out a pocket knife. The moment he clicked it open, the alleyway felt silent, like even the air was afraid to move. "Big mistake," Emily muttered softly. He slashed forward recklessly, but she stepped closer instead of away. She trapped his wrist against her hip, twisted, and within one clean motion, the knife clattered to the floor. Mark screamed, dropping to his knees, clutching his arm in shock. 3 down. Kevin, trembling now, backed himself up against the dumpster. He was shaking so hard he nearly slipped on the wet pavement. Who the hell are you?" Emily took a step toward him. Not fast, not threatening, just enough to make him feel the weight of his own decisions. "You're lucky," she said quietly. Lucky? How? You're lucky I don't fight anymore." Kevin swallowed hard. "Then why do you move like that? Who are you?" Emily hesitated. She hated the answer. She hated the past it carried. But maybe this once, maybe the truth would wake him up. Emily Carter. She waited. World lightweight MMA champion. 3 titles. 2 undefeated years. Kevin's face went pale. "No," he whispered. "You disappeared. Everyone said you retired because you couldn't handle the pressure." She laughed softly. Not cruelly, sadly. It wasn't pressure. It was people. Fame destroys the quiet ones, Kevin. I didn't want cameras. I didn't want reporters outside my home. I didn't want kids learning to fight because they thought violence was glamorous. She turned away. I just wanted peace. Serving drinks is the closest thing to normal I've had in a long time. The alley was silent now, except for the dripping of rainwater from the fire escape. Kevin finally spoke again, barely audible. I'm sorry. She didn't look back. Good. Start apologizing to others too. But then, something happened that even she didn't expect. A slow clap echoed from further down the alley. Emily's instincts sharpened instantly. She spun around. A tall man stepped out of the shadows, dressed in a black tactical jacket, expression unreadable. His eyes were the kind that didn't blink unless necessary. Police, military, or something far more dangerous. "Well done," he said with a thin smile. "I was wondering if you still had it." Emily's heartbeat stopped for a moment. She recognized that voice. "Agent Reddick?" she breathed. Kevin and the others looked confused, but Emily felt a chill run up her spine. The last time she'd seen this man was the day she vowed to leave everything behind. "What do you want?" she asked stiffly. "You," Reddick replied. "We've been looking for you for 2 years, and now that you've surfaced," he nodded toward the beaten bullies scattered across the alley. "We know you haven't lost your edge." Emily stepped back. "No, I'm done. I left for a reason." "Not anymore," he said calmly. "You're being reactivated." Her pulse throbbed. "I left your division, you can't call me back." Reddick's faint grin told her that laws weren't something people like him followed. "We found them," he said. Emily froze, completely. "Found who?" she whispered, though deep down she already knew. "The men who killed your brother." For a moment, her world tilted sideways. The neon light above them flickered, casting red across the alley. She clenched her fist slowly. "You're lying. We never lie to our best weapon." Emily's breath trembled. She hadn't allowed herself to think about her brother in a long time. The pain was too sharp, too permanent. His death was the reason she stopped fighting, stopped training, stopped everything. It broke her in ways the world would never see. Reddick took one step closer. "You want justice?" he whispered. Emily didn't answer, because she didn't need to. Her silence was enough. The bullies lying on the ground watched in disbelief as the woman they'd harassed just minutes ago, the quiet waitress, the tiny girl who poured beers, was now being recruited by a government agent for a mission that sounded like a ghost from a nightmare. Reddick extended a card, a black card, no logo, no number, nothing except a single silver dot in the center. "Be at the address on the back. Midnight tomorrow." Emily didn't take it, but Reddick didn't expect her to. He placed it gently on a crate beside her. "Whether you show up or not, the truth is waiting." And with that, he turned and disappeared into the darkness like a shadow that had never existed. Emily stood completely still. The rain started again, soft, cold droplets rolling down her face like tears she forgot how to cry. Her past had found her. Her peace was over, and the night felt heavier than the sky itself.